and just say, welcome, welcome, everybody. This is Sally Griffin, aka Millionaire Yogi, and I help visionaries become world-changing influencers. And we are gathered together for the coronavirus. And a lot of people are having a really okay time. I have to say that. I had an amazing meeting earlier this day, and I was basically been given some kind of uplifting information. Really, is we're all focusing, obviously I don't watch the news, but I know the news is focused on, oh, let's see who's coming in. There's somebody zooming in here. The news is always focused on the worst, obviously. But what you notice is, hey, hello, nice to see you. I think there may be a couple of others coming in. So
okay. I'll be on mute because I have noise around. So I just want to say hello.
Hello. And, you know, we'll have a moment when everybody can connect as well. Have I met you before? It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Where are you?
I'm in Bristol.
Oh, you're in Bristol. Okay, cool. So while everybody is focusing on the typical news that you would see, which is we're in the middle of an escalation right now. So of course, the only news that you'll ever hear, and that is true regardless of whether there's a crisis, is what we think of as news is bad news, right? That's what we think of normally as news. And right now we're into the frame where we'll see a rapid increase. It's going to go up exponentially before it comes down. So all you'll hear for every single freaking day now will be how many deaths, how many people are affected by it worldwide, and all of this. There's another perspective, and the perspective that I really want to share with you today is, if you looked on the health scale of people and where you would fit on the health scale of, you know, looking after yourself, and do you exercise, and do you do yoga, and do you eat well, you are right up on the end of the scale where nobody's getting ill, right? And then way down at the bottom of the scale, it would be people who are immunocompromised. They already have pre-existing conditions, serious ones, and age is linked to that. So, hey, Dee, Dee sideways. Hey.
Hello.
Nice to see you. And welcome everybody. And you know, we're going to go through a few things, but for now we're just muted. But I just wanted to mention this again to you. So I'll say it because Dee's here as well. Everybody who's here, as far as I can tell, is young, vital, healthy, etc. And when you see what's on the news is always bad news, right? It's always been bad news. We've never ever had good news. That's not what we think of as news. That's why we're so not used to seeing the good news, right? We've been trained to assume that bad news is what is news. And right now we're in an escalation period of the virus. It's going up on, it's doubling, trebling every single day, hour, whatever. And so you'll see the graphs, and everybody will be going, oh my God, we're on this peak. We're heading towards a peak, which in England, they're trying to make the peak in May. They're trying to make it happen in May. So we've got a month where all the news that you'll ever hear about is this horrendous escalation. But the other side of things, which was, I was on a completely different seminar earlier, and they were talking about, if you could see a graph of all the people and all the health types and where you are on a health spectrum, actually most of us on this call would be all up the end of the healthy way, you know, the healthy end, and none of those people are dying. Like, that isn't happening. So what you're not being fed is the reality is that since I stopped drinking alcohol, I did an ayahuasca ceremony 7 years ago. I think it's coming up for 8 actually. And overnight I stopped drinking alcohol, just like that. And what I noticed was that I had got an inherent level of poisoning through heat, which I never knew, right? Because I was just social drinker. I thought I wasn't an alcoholic or anything. But if I said to you, you want to go out for a drink, it wouldn't mean a cup of tea. If I said, do you want to go out for a cup of tea, it would mean that. So overnight, that changed. And then what I was able to pick up afterwards was, so I haven't drunk for, this will be the 8th year. I have now not ever had an illness for 8 years, like just like that. And so alcohol was deeply connected for me to heat. I used to get cold sores regularly, migraines regularly, like a whole string of things that I just thought was me. It was just a normal condition to have these various different things cropping up. And once I took the heat out, so it's the heat with alcohol that really didn't work, and probably the sugar, I haven't had, well, I've never had flu, right? Never had flu. And I could count the number of colds I have in my life. And I could, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So when you are operating like that, high frequency, dealing with your body, dealing with your mindset, dealing with the stress, dealing with all of that, you're on a spectrum of like this much that is not getting ill. Even if you came in contact with the coronavirus, it would just be like the same as a flu floating around. Well, I was thinking, well, when was the last time I had flu? I can't even remember. And that is the way that we need to think about it. This thing will integrate, it will move into society. 50% at least won't get it at all. And it may be much higher than that anyway. But there's a big piece that all we're focusing on is this escalation that's going up now. And so what you need to manage and must manage is your stress levels. Because if you have to think about the 3 things that most affect immunity, one is sugar, top of the list is sugar, and stress. So that piece, with all the people who are here who look completely healthy and vital, you've got to manage your mind around what you're being fed right now, because it's like sugar. That shit you're seeing on the news is like you're eating pounds of chocolate crap every minute while you're watching it. And I'm not talking cacao. I'm talking like the cheapest, shittiest chocolate. It's like McDonald's for the brain, and it's McDonald's for the immunity. So it will be affecting you, you know. And over this week, I have to say, like, I'm pretty solid as a person anyway. Not much can veer me off. But I was having moments of this like fluttery, woo, you know, like what's going on? And I've had to manage it, like manage my mind. And by the end of this week, I'm fine now. I'm really into sanctuary. It's like, oh, you know, all the flowers, all the stuff that I do to make me feel great. Yeah, Dagmara, you don't watch news in general, neither do I at all. But I promise you, I've got certain friends who are just sending me the feeds. And I'm like, stop sending me this feed, you know, and it's very hard for them to get that I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. And it's not because I'm not compassionate. It's not because I don't love, you know, my humanity. Hey, Sally, nice to see you. It's that I'm making a choice there, and have for a very long time, to stay out of the news. And ironically, I watch a lot of Scandinavian noir thrillers and crime dramas. So if I want to see the dark end of the world, it's, you know, I do it in that way. So today, what I want to bring to you is, I think everybody has moved rapidly, you know, with what's going on with the business. And I want you to think about like the same way that you would with health, the same way that you would about your conditions at home, making a sanctuary because you know you're at home and you ain't going anywhere soon, is to start blending that with the way that you start to think about your business. So the chocolate McDonald's news that is freaking us all out about health will also be freaking you out about the economy, right? It's the same horrendous frequency of worry, and people, you know, really like not able to cope with it because they're in uncertainty. And so I want to give you a very different way of looking at this. Number one, and I know you'll all relate to this word of surrender, right? It's time to surrender. And when we think about that word in business, could you ever predict a model market, like even at the times when it's been amazing? No. This is not what business does. This, all the way up. Never. It never does that, right? Business does this all the time. And so when you kind of change the framework of the way you're looking, same way, I had to go, all right, I'm at home now. So what can I make home? I can either make it a prison or I can make it a sanctuary. And so I flipped that within 2 days. You know, that was mindset shift. Same way I'm doing, okay, so what are the things now that are really important? I changed the mindset towards, this is just like any intensive that I've done, where I've done a training, I've done a spiritual program, I've done something to do with breath work, and I've divided my days, and I want to give you something I think will be really helpful for that, into all the practices that I am going to do to be a whole healthy person, including the business, and then give you a framework to put it in so that you can start to think about how to address. You've got lots of time, except I know Dee's a mum, so I don't know how that's working out for you right now. You want to unmute? Tell me how that's working out.
Well, it's kind of like this all the time anyway, but I guess I'm fortunate right now to be with my parents, so I've had lots of help from them, and like you say, just surrendering to it being different, you know, not better, not worse, just different, right? Yeah. So learning to adapt and actually feeling quite grateful for things going wrong, because like you say, with business, I think for a while it had kind of been going like that, and I knew, and I know from, you know, past businesses and other people's businesses, that it never just goes like that. So at some point something was going to switch, and I know it's always for growth, right? So in some ways I'm really grateful for this opportunity to grow and to evolve, because I really feel like life is just, you know, especially like the feminine, the divine feminine's like, right, there's new ways to do this, and there's ways that you've been avoiding that now you're going to have to step into, like going online more. So it's just, for me as a mum, it's there's always that element to consider, and it forces me to be adaptable, so I'm working on it.
And you know, this is the thing, if you can switch your model to one of surrender, so you're not fighting anymore, you're not worried anymore, you've already handled that in your head, all of you, you've gone, okay, I get it. And then when you get that surrendering is expansion, I want to drop that piece in too. It's like, so surrendering for control freaks is really hard, because I'm a control freak in certain areas, but I'm not in others at all. So when I know that it's time to surrender, I can actually go, okay, I get it. There's nothing that I can do with this circumstance. So now it turns into something else already. And I want to give you that piece about expansion, because if you are here right now, which you are already ahead of the curve, right? And so you're already doing all the right things already. And we can speak into that, to be the one that comes out ahead of this, right? All of you. Why? Because you're here having these kind of conversations. And I know that last week, when I first started this to start to help people, Ulrich, who is a friend of mine, he had contacted me absolutely in freaking meltdown. I think that was last Friday. And it was like everything he does is physical. So he teaches movement, everything he does, he adjusts people physically. He's got to be there live in the space. And I kind of had to like give him like shake him up. He's my ex-husband, so I can do that. Like shake him up, like smack, and stop doing this crazy shit and just get this. Like, you have to go online. And I spoke to him really strongly, and he was like, whoa, you know, and I'm like, I will help you get ahead of the curve. And so by Friday afternoon, we did a little training that I did with him, and I'm happy to do it with different people if you want some help on that, literally that level. He took my advice. Finally, he gave into the resistance and acknowledged it, and then took my advice, got a lighting kit over the weekend, and he has taught, he then had the conversations with the people that he was teaching, and he's made £400 already this week just from, so that's like nearly $800 for everybody. Oh no, it isn't. It's not double, is it? No, it's the same. So $800. No, sorry, 400. I'm trying to do currencies as well. In the same week that he would have just let all of that work go. And today he's like online, he's handled it, he's mastered some classes with these people, he's figured it out, and he's already ahead of the game. And all of them have said, we will stick to being your clients. What we love about you is that you're so precise and you're really there for us. So people at this kind of time will want to connect more than anything, right? The lack of connection is even worse than the lack of business, or the threat of the lack of business. So that is your number one thing. Connection is currency, 100%. Why would people choose you over the thousands of other people that offer fitness, breath work, cacao ceremonies, writing, etc.? Because they can connect with you. So the first piece that you want to drop in is connection. And if that needs to be like this, like you're doing your tribe a favor, you're offering certain things, and I want to hear about what you are offering, then know that you will be rewarded. It's almost like, I want to say it's like a karmic kind of way of working. But when people step up to be shining lights in the community at times when everybody else is losing their mind, when they settle down a bit, those people will listen to you, and you will develop the trust. And the piece that is so important right now is not the money, it's the trust and the connection. And that will translate, I promise you, to the money. It will, just not in the same instant for you, right? And that's the piece that you have to handle in your mind. So now we're going to try and figure it out for everybody who's on the call. I'm just going to put this poncho on. So what I'd like to know is, have any of you already put something together where you've reached out to your community with, you know, something? I know Dee has, so I'd like to talk about that. Adrian, you said you had. So let's hear a little bit about what you've actually done. What have you actually done? Unmute and tell us.
Yeah, so I've done 30-minute daily workouts, which has kind of been kind of all over the place in terms of, like, I'm not sure if I'm doing it the right way. Like, I'm advertising that people should hop on Zoom and then posting it as a Facebook Live on my page. But some other fitness coach is doing this to, like, grow her Facebook group, which I had a Facebook group, but then I just got so like sick and tired of posting in it every day and like showing up. I'm like, oh, this is so much work, and like to try to get people to engage, and it was just exhausting, and there wasn't really that much like return on that. Like, I didn't get any clients, and I only tried it for a couple weeks. But part of me right now is thinking, well, maybe this is a good time to grow that again and get that going. But it's tough because then I have the two businesses too. I have Fit Through Love, and I also have Breath of Gold. And I've been doing the online breath work once a week, and saying that it's donation based. The first week that I did it, I did have people donate, but people felt like kind of disconnected. I had the feedback from one person that said it felt kind of like we were all breathing in a vulnerable space, but they didn't know each other. And then the second one, everyone knew each other. Most of them were my clients. No one donated, but it was like a really good session. So I wasn't really like bummed about it. So it's kind of tough because I'm like offering a lot of events for free. And I guess I could be using the fitness classes potentially as lead magnets for like one-on-one fitness coaching.
Yeah.
Another idea that I have, and I'd love your advice on this, is that some of my clients feel like way more connected. They're like, oh my gosh, thank God for the coronavirus, because you've never done these videos before. And like your app is good where we have our custom workouts, but it's almost more fun to show up to this kind of call. It's better for accountability, you know? So I could almost make another program. I don't know when I would charge for it rather than it just be free. I guess it would probably have to grow more first for that, because a lot of people that are coming are still clients or friends.
What was your question though? You said you wanted to ask me a question?
Yeah, my two questions are, should I be casting it as a Facebook Live on my normal page, or using this as a time to have a Facebook group?
Okay.
Private Facebook.
So I'm going to absorb the questions, right? So what I'd like to do is, can you type those in?
Yes.
And then I want to really attack the questions. But I want to hear where everybody is at. So my question is, did you offer something in response to this to your community? And if so, what, and how did it go a little bit? And then I'll come to, we'll do problem solve all of this. Anyone want to talk about anything? All of you do. So let's just do it, you know, one at a time. Do you want me to tell you who? Okay. Let's do Dee first, because she put her hand up a microsecond faster than you guys. Then we'll do Sally, then we'll do Dagmara. Okay?
Hey, so I have offered an online Equinox women's circle, which involved movement and meditation and a little bit of kind of, you know, wisdom sharing. The intention also was to share some sound, but unfortunately it doesn't work very well on Zoom, sound healing with like crystal bowls and stuff. So that didn't happen in the end. It was really cool. So 90 people actually signed up. I think like 45 or something like that showed up, or 50. I think about half of those people donated. So it was donation based.
So what did you actually make out of that? I just want to know that, because I want to see.
I think it was about probably close to 200.
Okay.
It was an hour long.
You know, put for you, yeah, later.
Yeah. So I think, the donations ranged from like £6 to like 20, I think, which was really generous, you know. So I feel like I had got really amazing feedback, which was really good. I think for some people the sound was a little bit off, but I don't know what you can do about that with Zoom. You know, I think Zoom is like massively under pressure right now. Got really good feedback. I know for me it was, I guess, it wasn't a challenge, because it just felt like I was talking to myself most of the time, and I was leading myself through this. You know, it was I could feel the energy of the group, but it was quite hard, obviously, to connect in the same way that we would in a live circle. So that's always going to be something that I'm going to have to, you know, get used to. I guess in terms of question, because you were there, I guess, any kind of feedback really from what you saw and how I could, you know, improve, do it better. I'm very aware that at the end I didn't share anything more, like what I'm doing or how to connect more with me or anything like that, which is my tendency, to be honest. And I quite often forget that, and then like an hour later, after everything's finished, I'm like, damn, I forgot to like give them anything more, you know, at the end. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it, and I intend to share more.
You sent me a text, so I can address that in this anyway, because I know some of the questions you have. You want feedback about it as well. So that's great, Dee. Fantastic, well done. You know, you just jumped, which I really applaud people who just jump, like just jump right now. So great. And then I will come back and give you some really solid feedback about how to build that.
Okay, great.
So Sally. Sally Shakti. Do you like both double-barreled? You just need to unmute. Do you want me to unmute you?
Sorry.
There you are. No, that's okay.
No, totally unprofessional there. I was trying to switch onto my laptop because I keep getting really bad sound problems and the screen keeps freezing. So it's really difficult to follow. But I'll stick on here for now. Can you hear me okay?
Totally well.
Oh, I might show up.
You're
here we are.
You're perfect. I'm gonna
Okay.
No, two of you in slow motion at two different.
Okay. Let me leave that on. Okay, can you hear me better on this one?
Both were okay.
Great. Mobile wasn't so good. So I have my business is writing and wellbeing packages for students, and I had a call this afternoon with the director of the graduate school at University of Westminster, who I've worked with previously, and developing a package of a downloadable course that the university would buy in wholesale and then make available for their students. That would give me sign up opportunities and opt-in opportunities then to follow up with students who sign up for that package. What she's actually asked me to do in the short time developing that package, go on and do a live Zoom session for students, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time, and that's then expanded my provision. I can actually start to respond much more quickly because now I can actually contact other universities and offer them the same immediate response. I can give them a live response whilst I'm developing my longer term package, my downloadable package in the background. So that gives me a way to respond in real time to what's happening very quickly.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And did they say yes to that? So are they down for that?
Actually, that was her suggestion.
Not the Zoom, but the program.
Whilst I'm developing the downloadable package, and then that's something I can offer.
So,
the program, she wants to see what I've got before she goes ahead with that. But the live thing will be either a one-off or it'll be ongoing.
okay, that's great, perfect. Okay, so
Yeah. And then I'll use that for data capture.
Fantastic. Okay, so sorry, Phoenix always has to be part of this. He's bringing the love in. So I'll respond to you in a minute. I'm gathering all of this stuff, which I think would be helpful for all of you actually, because you're all doing great stuff. So let's have Dagmara.
I just want to say hi to Dagmara because really glad you're here and I invited you. So thank you for being here.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
the reason I'm here basically.
Oh, I'm so pleased to meet Dagmara. I don't know you, but
yes,
already like you.
I'm Dagmara. I'm Polish. Now I live in UK since May last year. And then what I do is I actually do private session. This is what I do. I work in therapy in I work with the inner child. This is my kind of area of interest. And I also work with this technique that is called somatic experiencing. So I kind of combine both. So it's kind of like a regression into the childhood and working with the body all together. And I also use some imagery and hypnosis and this method that is called the journey. I don't know if you guys familiar.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have a lot of tools and it's all kind of combined, and it depends on the client and what's happening. I use one of them, but it's mostly in a form of a process. It's not much talking, it's more like processing. So what I've done recently in this area of lockdown, I mean, in these times of lockdown, I did two Zoom conferences that went live with other NLP practitioners in response to what's happening. And I did one kind of a conversation live with my best friend that was in Polish, and with people where people could ask questions and we would respond as well. And that's so far what I've done. I was trying to create a group. I thought maybe I make like a closed group and I post my stuff there and I do some short exercises for people, like imagery and stuff like that. But I always have problems with Facebook. I'm not very good in all the technology, and there is always something, like I made a group, for example, and I could not invite anybody and I couldn't find how to resolve that problem. Or when I post from my page, there is no like button. So I struggle with stuff like that. I don't have enough. I just don't know those tools very well, basically. What else I wanted to say? So the NLPs, because I also do NLP, but I more use the techniques a little bit than the idea of NLP itself, because I work with emotions and NLP kind of cuts off the emotions. That's how they work. So I stopped doing the lives with NLPs because I didn't resonate with what they were saying too much. However, the Polish conversational live went extremely well, and people were very happy, and they kind of asked us to do more stuff like that. So I don't know if I will get any clients from those lives, but I do enjoy doing them. So I want to continue, but that's me so far. I don't think I have any question at the moment, but maybe later.
Okay, well, that is, I mean, really well done, everybody, for doing something, right? And doing something different than you typically do. And I know it's quite challenging to think outside the box. But if you can get your head around the fact that we are entering into the Aquarian age, and that the symbol for that is thinking about outside the box, right? And so if you can not be a perfectionist as you go through this experience and just allow yourself to wonder. I was talking about it the other day, to be with the eyes of the child and to allow yourself to just show up wherever, however, and we'll talk about some really key ways, but not always be judging yourself. You know, did you get it right? You know, did you do the link right? Did you ask for the money at the right time? Did you right? So the thing that's really amazing about this is that no matter what, whether you're a pro, I used to work as a professional camera person for 20 years. And there was a joke about it, which was, it was called Sod's Law, basically. If something can go wrong, it will. Now, you would think that's really negative, but it's not. It's technology. It's, you know, it's just what happens on shoots, and the level of handling all these tiny little pieces of information. And also, you know, I'm in my profile, I'm the least compatible with reading a manual, right? So in a learning way, I want somebody to show me how to do it. I just want somebody to show me how, or tell me how, or speak in my ear, or visually show me how. The least way that I'm a happy bunny is if I have to read a freaking manual. And I had to read manuals all the time for technology, for lighting, for all of this. So what I'm very used to is knowing that there's this kind of system of the way that you move forward with this, that will be, you can always ask Google and then ask the way that you need to be taught. So I need to be taught, I like little videos, and Google will show you pretty much everything to do with that, about the how to. You know, techie people are jumping on board right now saying, you know, how to get you online. And that kind of piece isn't so important. The bigger piece is, who are you going to be online? And then certain key back end structures that you put in, and you put them in really early. And I'm going to advise you on some of that, so that you have that piece handled from square one. So I want to go through a few of these that I would say. Adrian, I presume you're still there, but let me address Dee's, because I was also, I witnessed your event. Oh, you are still there. Okay, good. So let me answer your, actually I'd like to do Dee's first because I think it's more relevant, and then we'll go into yours. So Dee normally is known for quite large events. Women often who, I would say in general, there is a money issue can float through Dee's world of women, right? Dee is the nicest person ever. And so she supported this group always by, you know, holding them up. And, you know, even when I was doing badly once, I remember you let me come for free, and I appreciate you so much for all of that kind of thing. And however, right now we need to switch that, right? We really need to switch that with all of you. So it's great to do some things for free if you're also making some money somewhere else, right? The reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like my money is handled. And then I genuinely, this is part of my mentoring thing that I love. I'm of service. I feel like I'm, you know, doing the path of the yogi to help, and I can do it. So if that wasn't a pleasure to me, that would be a problem. So you've got to ask yourself, where in the scale of helping that it really is your sort of pleasure, passion, and thinking outside the box. So for me, this, when I saw we've hit Corona, I thought, I can handle this for 4 weeks of this continuous extra mentoring, because I'm in the world of mentoring. So it's free. It's fine. It's no problem. However, the advice I'm going to give you guys is to not make it free for you. For me, I've got a back-end business that's all set up and clients, and I'm actually going into a period of building business right now. From what I hear you are experiencing, you're in a slow build, but you're in reaction to circumstances. And so the first thing with Dee's event, she had a lot of people coming on. And none of this is a criticism. Do you want, really want you to really get that. I just want to tick boxes so you change it right now so that you can do better next time for yourself. So an observation that I made was, you didn't mention how long the thing was going to be anywhere. So I want you guys to all mention how long the thing is going to be. Whatever it is the offering. Mention how long it's going to be.
It was in the description in the bio, but I guess I could have said it. Okay.
So that's just a hot tip, because the thing about it is, when people have an expectation, I guess by the time I read what it was, it said in the email that came, we don't have long together. And I thought, oh, we don't have long together. That means, like, I don't know, 45 minutes or something, because we've done stuff which is 6 hours long, right? So I was like, oh, we don't have long together. So I had an expectation from reading that we didn't have long together. So I want you to handle people's expectations straight up about what is happening with your offering. And that will be, we're going to meet at X, Y, and Z time. We're going to run for about this time, and then it will end. Now, I'm not doing this on this call, so, I'm not being a good example of that, but I do want you to start operating like that when you're doing your events. Be super clear how long the offer is, and what that cuts out immediately is one of the biggest problems with entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting, is that they don't feel the self-worth value in themselves, that they are the value. So they overgive so much so there's loose boundaries around everything, and then they feel sucked dry very soon with the process. And we're going into a phase where everybody and their mother and their cat and their neighbor is going to be online, right? And most of it will be fairly average. So if we can get you above the average just right now, that's going to make a huge difference. So say what is going to happen and how long it is going to be. And then when you ask for donations, you put a recommended donation in and you multiply the links over every piece of documentation that you can possibly do. Now, right now, PayPal Me is a really easy way to do it. PayPal Me, because, do you know PayPal Me, everybody? So? Okay. So
I know PayPal, but PayPal Me, I don't know if it's some different feature or something.
It is. So I want you to write that down, PayPal Me. And when you have set up an account, does everybody have a PayPal account here? Yes? Okay. So whether or not it's a business or it's a personal account, what happens is there's this feature called PayPal Me, and I want you to look it up on PayPal. Right at the top, it's probably under money, you know. What it gives you is your own personal link that it will say PayPal Me / it will give your name, however you've set up your account. And then you would do another / and you'd put the price on it. You've already set up your accounts, we assume, in some currency. So mine's in pounds, English. And so mine would say PayPal Me / then it actually says Millionaire Yogi. And I add the / and the price on it. And without anything, I could put that beside a photograph. I could put it up on Facebook right here. I could say, hey guys, just take this link down right now. And they would copy it. They hit the link and it's an instant payment method. So I want you to bear that in mind because it's so easy. And that's when you're moving out of the donation thing or your recommended donation price, when people are a bit slippery around that. Because week 1 of coronavirus, donations might look like £20 to some and 6 to others. Later on, it might look like 2 or 1, and you cannot live on that. So I want you to kind of handle the money piece as much as the expectation and the boundaries piece, because it's all part of you know, maintaining a really good offering throughout this whole period where you're able to give if you're going to give, and you think, how are you going to give? So for me, I don't operate with donations. I either do free or you pay. It's like that. There's a fork in the road. Choose.
So would you suggest instead of saying donation and nothing, like donation £5, let's say, like a set amount?
I would definitely say that, yeah.
Set amount.
Yeah, definitely. Once you've done your first, you know, crisis, you know, Corona crisis offering, what I've noticed is that literally now all the main yoga centers have come on and they've put their price at £10 British. So there are certain yoga centers that were, if you did a drop in, you'd be doing 18. If you had a stack of 5, you might be doing around 15 is the price. So they've dropped to that, but they've got the audience. They've got an audience to be able to you know, maintain at £10. So I want you to not drop so low that you're, you know, really, you've got it, like, it's back to the self-worth piece, right? It's back to that self-worth piece, which actually, when you are doing high ticket offers, which I'm doing in another context at 16,000 right now in this climate. Why can I do that? Because it's the right audience and it's because I value everything I do, right? So I want you to really get where you're placed in this and to start to define your own boundaries for that. That will be a lifesaver as this continues on.
Can I ask a quick question, Sal?
Yeah.
Something that's just come to mind that's been on my mind for a while is the potential for a kind of membership space. So you know, at the moment it might be like one circle a week. But if there was a membership option, like a monthly membership where people can join each circle or each whatever it is that I do, and then they pay like a membership fee, that would make it cheaper for them than if they did it every one. But I've seen a few people do that, and I wonder whether that's something that I was planning to do anyway pre-coronavirus. But I wonder what your thoughts are on.
It's a really good system that works for certain people, and it can be like, for instance, one of the downsides of that is you don't want people to get out of the membership, so the commitment has to be there. The reason why you get in is because we are going to put up an automated payment service. Now that would not be PayPal Me, that would be an invoice that you set up. You can set up a recurring payment with any of the platforms that you use to receive payments, right? I use Moonclerk is one, which actually then automates Stripe. So depending upon how far you're into your business, right? And you're pretty far in the concept, but you're not online. That's the piece, right? You would have to set up your how many circles it is, how long is each one. So I really want you to do that, because you personally, you've got a leaky end heart, a leaky old heart, which will just give and give and give. And so if there's one piece I would teach you, Dee, right now, is tighten up your boundaries and be that woman who is like really willing to end a circle. As much as you're willing to start, you're really willing to end. It will make you really powerful at this time. And if people then knew, right, I get this for that, and this is the price, and you can talk to me about pricing afterwards. I think that could be a really good offer for you right now. And it would get you away from the money thing, because I don't think you're totally comfortable with that piece. Could I be right there or not? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think with this as well, at this stage, it's funny because I don't feel like I want to give anything for free. I'm actually like, no, you know, and people keep coming to me going, let's do this thing for free because people really need it. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I can't, I just doesn't feel. Okay, but yeah, anyway, I'm just going to mute.
Change this one.
Hello, you, Phoenix the human. I've got Phoenix the cat here. Hello. So, leakiness around anything. So I don't feel this is leaky. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I'm so solid on the other end of my business that I can do free without feeling any disconnect with it. And so everybody will have to answer that question themselves. But for you, I think that's great that you're not feeling the free option. Brilliant. That means you've moved sort of tighter in your boundary around money, because it hasn't been easy, I think, for you. And so if there's nothing else, you add in a PayPal Me easy link to pay, and you tell them how long it's going to be, and you tell them the recommended donation. You can then switch that to, this is no longer a donation. You give advance warning, and you say, this is now going to cost this, right? And
Can I ask a question?
of course.
About maybe it's the same like hair, because I had the idea to create a group, like Facebook group, and I'm working on it, where I put some content that actually it's an effort and I'm giving away certain tools. And I thought to do it for free just to attract some people that would like the same content, let's say. But then I'm thinking I'm giving away stuff for free that I paid lots of money to learn and studied and practice and all this stuff. So how to exactly, I think what you said, it's kind of maybe that you offer something for free and then you say, okay, this group will from now cost. But I'm not sure how to handle that.
Well,
really.
Here's how you handle it. You do one session for free. Like, hey guys, I'm doing one session for free. That's how you handle it. So there's never, ever any doubt that by the time you get to the second session, no, this is a paid session. Yes, you will drop people off, but you will then start to gain the right people.
But you still, you offer it as a joining the group, one session for free, or how? Yeah. It's one-on-one session or just one session for everybody who joins, like a live or whatever?
Group is where the money is, unless you're known and trusted with a high ticket price as one-on-one, right? And here's another piece, which is, you know, because Adrian is asking about the Facebook group, the growth of the Facebook group. I know a strategy which is all around Facebook group that you could actually technically start to work with right now, just to build an audience. But because we're in a time of overload online, and these strategies that are sold at a very high, high ticket price, right, to go through it, I will give to you happily, but I'm not sure it's the right time to implement it. So what the top level piece is connection, so that you become trusted. And then I would prefer everybody on this call to do only one thing for free, and then it's or donation, and then after that it's a paid. That's it. Like, just be clear, that's your boundaries. How you can handle some of the stuff, and I'll go back to the Facebook groups, how you can handle self-worth. A really good thing that I was talking to another coach about is, if you were to write down, this is an exercise that you can all do, not now, but you know, when you've got a moment, is to write down all the trainings, all the coaching, all the travel that's taken over how many years of your life to be you in your expertise, and start to breathe into that. Like, that's the piece that is the self-worth piece. When you realize that your packages that you want to put together are around your value. So if you say high ticket package, I would change that in your mind to high value package. How much value, with all your knowledge and your experience and your travel and you're paying to gather that, can you put a price on it, right? Mine is insane. I mean, literally insane. I've trained with so many top coaches. I've traveled the world. I mean, I was trying to do this the other day, not to see my value, but just to do the exercise. And I was like, I don't know if that's like around, it could be around something ridiculous like 400,000. So do I have a 400,000 package? Not currently, but you know what I mean? It's like, but the value of who I've worked with, of how many trainings I've done, of all this stuff, because I've been training with coaches for 20 years. And some of them are like some of the most famous people, you know, in the network. They all cost a lot of money. And I've always been like eating up trainings and being interested in all of this. So it's a way of you starting to see your value. And then when you're doing that donation piece, if you think the top centers are making it like 10 quid or whatever it is in America, it might be, I don't know, it might be around $10. You could even check in online with a local yoga or breathwork center online, Adrian, and just see what the price that they're making it now. And I would make yourself the same. Don't do anything different. So don't make myself 5 because they've got a name. It's like, no, you're 10. So that's those little things. Now, you asked about the Facebook group. If you think about your Facebook business page, so I'm going to, again, speak about myself. Sorry, but it's a good example. I have Millionaire Yogi, which is my Facebook page business. That is like a card I would give out at a party. And where do most cards go? In the bin, right? So my Facebook page has only so much traction, but I still have to have it there. I have to have it there. And what you could start to do if you're not really familiar with that is you could set one up now. And if you need some help, go on Google and say, how do I set up my Facebook business page? You give it the actual name, you put a pretty picture in it. You can even, you know, just describe what it is that you do. And if nothing else, that's a useful thing. However, where is the conversation that is happening at any given time? That's your private Facebook group. So it's like if I was at a party in a house of Millionaire Yogi, and it's like this fabulous house, but it's just a house, I would be asking the question, well, where's the real inner party? And that would be upstairs in some cool room, and that's my private Facebook page group. That's my group. And I want you to see the way that that would land. Somebody could always show up at my house, right? Millionaire Yogi, and they see the address, they see kind of a little bit about who I am and all of that. But the private Facebook group is the conversation that you want to be having with your audience and getting the right people in to be your clients. So the conversation and messaging that is really important right now is relevant to, this is where we're talking pivot. It used to be what you're about and your soul calling and all the rest of it. Put that to one side. Now it's about how can you help people in this climate? That's it. That's the conversation. So you attach whatever it is that you do, and you make the messaging and the conversation specifically about that. The controls on the Facebook private group need to be private, not public, or there's another one. I can't think it's secret. I've forgotten. They changed the name. It was one and then they've changed it to something else. Anyway, in other words, it's private. That's what you want. You don't want it open because, like any good conversation or little inner party room, you want the right people in there, right? So they go to my house. There's a whole bunch of people wandering around. That's not who is my client base. My client base, the ones who want to go to the party where the conversation is happening. So that's a kind of visual for you to get your head around what's going on with private Facebook groups. So once you've done your Facebook business page, then you can create a private Facebook group, and you want to make it so that there are questions to enter. So it's not just like, hey, you know, the stream of people can come flowing in. Depending upon what your group is doing, you can find valuable information out about the kind of clients that you want there. And this is a building thing. Excuse me, it takes time, but to give you a little bit of an edge ahead, because this would take a few sessions to teach the whole ins and outs of this. You could do this today. The key that I want you to get is it's got to be private, and you've got to ask questions to people to enter. So if you did nothing else than that and put a pretty picture up and they thought, how does my business relate to this current climate? So the question is, what's the pain point for your people right now? And then what's the most uplifting antidote to that pain point that you can offer as a solution right now? When I have coached people who deal with the world of trauma or, well, let's just say trauma. Trauma is a bummer. Nobody wants to hear about trauma, right? They really don't. And you'll get the wrong clients through that because all you're focusing on is the pain point. But if you can talk about, and I'll give you an example actually, somebody I'm working with, a very wonderful woman who is going to be working a lot with stillbirth because she had stillbirth, and then she's able to get to a place where she really wants to work with women who've also had a stillbirth. How I'm working with her business now is, I said, first of all, you don't want to lead with stillbirth because it's, you know, like it's a limited audience, but it's also people who are in shock and trauma, and they'll just stay there. So what you want to do is say something like, she was coming up with things like the lessons and light that came after stillbirth, something like that. That was the first piece that she was doing. And then we've gone way beyond that now. So where we're going, which is really exciting, is I've got her to think about calling her the unexpected birth. So now we're not talking just stillbirth. We're talking about most women go into labor. Dee had the most amazing 2-hour birth or something ridiculous. So fast and so natural and amazing. That's what everybody wants. You're at 2% level of people who get what they want. Most people don't get what they want. They have these fantasies of floating in the hot tub and, you know, their partner is squeezing their shoulders and, you know, it's all loving music and hypnobirthing and the doula's there and all of that. And it just isn't like that half the time. So I got her to play with this idea of, she's now narrowing the target to unexpected, but that's opened it up way bigger than stillbirth. And it's still not saying the negative pain point. It's just saying unexpected, right? And if you guys can think about when you hang out in the pain, then you get the weirdos. You get people who are just like traumatized and weird. Some of them who've never, like they're just kind of dark energy looking for the traumatic way into things. So, but you want to mention the pain point because that's the best way of getting people in. So it's an uplift of a pain point. Do you follow me with that? How you, and each of you have got a different way of working. So if you need advice on that, like unmute. Let's talk about your own business. Yeah.
So for example, I work a lot with depression and anxiety, and also like this, all kinds of feelings of being lost in life and stuff like that. So I've noticed like online going through stuff, people do advertise like PTSD and depression. So they do say those words actually, because there are people who are searching for solutions. So how could that be advertised or in a magnetic way? So people, or like how you say, more expanded way.
Well, what if you have recovered from depression and PTSD, what's then possible?
Breakthroughs, I don't know, how to say, opening your full potential, or like living to living out of your true potentials, or like tapping into your inner power. I mean, you can name all of that. But I sometimes feel it's a little bit misleading, you know, because if people suffer from depression, they want solution to depression, although they also looking for all of that as well.
Nobody wants to hang out in depression, trust
Yeah.
me. And the people who do, and it's all the trauma language and all of that, there will be an energy that you do not want those clients, right? So it's a bit like turning it on its head, and it would be life after depression. Actually, a very interesting thing, I'll just tell you this. Shamans don't believe in depression. They believe it's suppression. So they believe that if you have expression, then you cannot have, they don't believe depression exists, right? So the question is, what are you not expressing? That's a very different conversation.
Yes.
So you could turn the languaging to expression, and then under the bullet points, like let's say you need to mention bullet points of, you know, has anybody had a stillbirth? You put it in a bullet point.
Yeah.
You don't hang out in it.
Yeah. You don't advertise us, but you mention.
Yeah. You don't hang out in the trauma. I met somebody recently who, this is really dark, so get ready for it. So anyway, this woman, it's really fucking dark. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. But she told me that she had 3 years ago, somebody attempted to murder her. So we're already into the murder scene, right? And then I said, so what's going on? Like, you know, tell me a little bit about that. Well, he kidnapped her. He tried to he raped her. I think he used a hammer on her. He tried to electrocute her. He tortured her. He knifed her. He shot her. Okay, that's her life. And can you feel that coming at you? Because I was like, whoa, And so much honor to this woman, because he's locked up and she's come through that. And this is 3 years later. So what's happening now is we're creating a new pathway for her, right? Because she's writing a book and all that kind of thing. But what's happening is all the news, NBC and all of that want to do endless interviews with her. And guess what they want to talk about? The rape and the murder and the electrocution. And how many times did he try and kill you? And then he tried to drown her. I mean, this guy is really serial killer fucked up like that. If you hang out in that, I said to her, you are going to attract that. You're going to get all those people who are freaks, who aren't just watching Scandinavian dark noir like I am at night, but are the kind of people who are, you know, and I said, and it's going to make you ill, because you're going to end up spending all the time talking about that. What we want to shift is something way ahead of that. Like, and it's not even the word survivor. That's not enough. Survivor is still, oh, you know, I'm a survivor. It's got to be, so she's really projecting like she's made it. He was nailed. She's a goddess. She's the other side of that. And I can't answer all the details of that for you, because you're all doing different messaging. But that's the conversation that your Facebook group is. So
I got the point. Very valuable, yes.
Yeah, it's hard hitting, but it's not hanging out in that stuff. You want to get rid of that stuff, because you will get these weirdos who will be just, what do they call them? Trolls. Trolls on the internet. So that piece is enough for me to give you right now to bring this session to a close until Monday, when I'm going to do another session at 4. These are really useful pieces for you to come in, but I think I just want to make sure that so Adrian, to answer that question, woo, now your hair is long. The question for you would be, what is the breath work? What's going on right now is people are stressed out of their minds, right? Mostly. So the antidote to that is your breath work. And what does the breath, then ask the next question. If the facilitation is the breath work, what comes after you do the breath work?
Relaxation, pleasure, love, gratitude.
So that's what the message is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think on making a Facebook group that combines both? Because everyone knows me for fitness, and I feel like a true transition is to still use the fitness, but eventually get people more into the breath work and use it as a main tool. It's also easier to see when people need fitness, as well as I think it's more approachable for people to be like, oh, I need to hire a personal trainer. Like, way more people have that thought than, oh, I should probably hire someone for breath work. You know, I've learned that.
I disagree. I totally disagree with you. Yeah, it's the way you're pitching yourself there. So we may all have to transition right now, because what we've been doing is not addressing the current climate. So what you need is the conversation to address the current climate. You can take those people from the fitness model, you can take them from breathwork, you can gather them in that conversation in your private Facebook group, but then you can pitch to them different programs. And none of this is instant, right? But if you can get that piece right now, then you're miles ahead, because you got bored with your old Facebook group. It wasn't really thriving. And so think about the languaging that you would create now in this climate. You know, and it's going to be attraction. There are people who just teach breath work. That's all they do, and they make a lot of money doing it. So, you know, don't think it's like because fitness people don't get it. They do, and they value it. It's you valuing it. You will project out exactly the worth that you are when you get that piece, and you're probably not right. You're not getting your message quite yet, and that's okay. So that's the discovery piece to do over the weekend, to start to look at, well, what is that conversation that's addressing a pain point, but in an uplifting way? What's the result after they have the work with you? What's that result there? What do they get, you know? And it took me about 2.5 years to get my message coherent. And when you get it coherent, then the next piece is you say it every single time you come on. So just like I do now, hi, I'm Sally Griffin, AKA Millionaire Yogi, and I help visionaries become world-changing influencers. That was excruciating to get to that point, I promise you.
You say that every single time you speak?
I say it every time I speak now. Yeah. So I do a live, I say it. I do Zooms like this because I know they're going up onto YouTube. I say it. So there'll be a piece that you guys will get, which will be your intro. And you need to address it to something that you really like. So really, I was like, for a long time, I was trying to just work with entrepreneurs. That's not accurate for me. Visionaries is accurate. People who feel they have a calling is accurate. So all my languaging went boo-doo-doo-doo once I got that piece, and it's not necessarily instant. It takes a bit of trial and error of just announcing yourself as something and thinking, still not quite right. And that's okay, you know, and being like that. But now's the time to do it, because if you can see this cycle as a build cycle, even though it's an unusual build cycle because we're in a crisis, right? But trust me, and you just handle these pieces as we go along, you're going to be like flying by the autumn. And that's the other piece, like just get your expectations in. It's not going to happen right this minute because you haven't got enough traction. But if you can start to do all of these pieces, you're going to be flying by the autumn. So I'll bring this to a close for today, and you can see me again. I'm trying to do these 2 times that work for America and England. That's Mondays and Fridays. Next week we change. Well, this weekend we change. We move forward. So Adrian, next week it will be 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. for me, but that will be consistent from that point on. Okay? And you're all doing amazingly. So even just these little things, start to bring your boundaries in, start to make, you know, like change the way you think about donations. You do one offering, but then you're really clear about your price points another time. All of that is going to be like you're rapidly moving. And that's what I want you to do right now. Rapid, like change with the times. So I hope that was of help. And I'll be, like I said, you know, oh, there's another thing I must recommend to you guys. You really ought to come on The Sole Reason You're Here, which is a link that I'm putting up, and it goes out in newsletter form. So it's sometimes showing up there. It will be put up in the Spirit of Influence, which is my private Facebook page, and also on Millionaire Yogi. But all of you should get in on that, because the training that's happening, which was going to be my live event in LA, which is not this weekend, but the following one, all those speakers are going to be there. And they're all coming on an online event over 2 days. And once you sign up for the link, it will be sent to you even if you can't be there. It is incredible. These people are top of their game. So Jenny and Mark are top of their game, copywriters beyond that, work with messaging. I'm doing a piece with them, which is about how to work with your business, getting it online right now, and all the messaging piece that we would work with. I'm working with, now that you're in the crisis, guess what's dropping away? All the stuff that you never really were meant to do. So now what we're getting is the frequencies of what we're really meant to be doing. You can feel it. So that's going to be interesting. There's somebody working on a piece around fear. That's Lauren. There's Monty Cox, who's this wild gay guy from LA who's wonderful, and he's got something called radical consciousness. There's a guy speaking, Adam, who is about how to get your work land a TED Talk. So I'm just telling you, there's this incredible, and I haven't even finished telling you, but there's a whole bunch of people. So if I can drop that link somewhere, I'll drop it on Millionaire Yogi. Keep an eye out for it on the Facebook page. And I will also try to remember, because I don't think I'm connected with Dagmara, sign up for my newsletter. It's the easiest way right now, because there's like several threads going out, but keep an eye out for it. It's the sole reason you're here. And it will be 7 hours of training. And you can have pee breaks and you can turn it on and off, or you can be live, but it'll be incredible. And that's over April 4th, the Saturday. In England, it'll be from 4 till 7. And from America, it'll be 8 till 11 in the morning. And then we do it again on Sunday, but tons and tons of content. So I wish you a wonderful weekend. Start thinking about your boundaries, get those pricing points in. Don't do too much for free, little, but this you can do for free, like Facebook Lives. Hey guys, you know, been thinking about you, all of that, really useful. Oh, thanks for that. Sally's so good at this. Thank you. So that's the opt-in page. And once you sign up to that, it means that everything is sent to you regardless of which pieces you can come in. I mean, it's a long session each day with different speakers, and you may really want to afterwards go over it again, but pleasure. And I'll see you next week, I hope. Much love. Namaste. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, Sal. Bye.
See you later.
I'm sorry I had to step out. Bye. Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you later.